My name is Gary Meyer, application developer for many years. I'm a volunteer ski patroller. My project was really to meet the needs specifically to ski patrollers. It's a unique environment. There's a lot of data that we have to know. You know, we need to be knowing lift status, trail status, where toboggans are stashed on the mountain, where each AED device is, what the avalanche forecast is. We might need to contact a fellow patroller. And there's more. Some of it's real time, some of it's data. And I thought, you know, if I can make a reference available, you know, an in-pocket mobile reference available, I think I've got a cool app that can make a difference to people who respond to medical emergencies in the backcountry. You know, the need actually for this app stemmed out of an idea from a fellow patroller. One day we were working, he approached me a couple years ago and said, you know, we capture all this information for incidents. We have to make all these measurements, what happened, and is there a way that we could record this in our phones? And I thought, maybe next year I could do that. And I did. So the next off-season during the summer, did some research. And I think for the application itself, I think the first pass, I coded it 3 different times. And I got started on the back end. I got started by hand, and I started coding on a Linux, Java, backend stack, coding everything myself, all the, you know, the database tables, the CRUD access, the security, and had to go through all the user management, profile, password reset by hand. And I got so far into that, and I thought, I do not want to do this anymore by hand. There's got to be something better. So I started research and came across mobile backend as a service and started evaluating different products. For me, when I evaluated the mobile backend as a service products, top of the list, I think, was features. I knew what my use cases were. I knew what my data needs were, and I needed to subscribe some feeds. I knew I had a unique situation where it was occasionally connected, needed to cache data locally. And then from there, I wanted to make sure that I was picking a stable vendor where I wouldn't write something and have to quick panic, rewrite it later. Wanted a vendor that provided a stable performance, you know, predictable response time, high availability, and those things. And certainly, perhaps most significant on the list, but had to be a little bit later on, was just good documentation and examples, because this is yet another API to learn, yet another technology to learn. And if there are examples that I can look at, whether in documentation or an active forum, then I can go, okay, I can copy and paste this, get going quickly. I had started the app with another product, yeah. And I think the primary reason I cut over was just around some quality issues. I was hitting some defects, and log files weren't telling anything. Documentation wasn't helping me. What do you do? So.
Start looking for an alternative.
Exactly, you have to start looking for a new alternative because you need something where your time can be used productively. To migrate from another vendor to Backendless, I think it took me, the core of it, only a few weeks, and that's working part-time, less than a month. And then, you know, a little bit longer to work out some error handling and some things like that. You know, I used a lot of the Backendless features. I used the security, I used the user management, and certainly the data. And having a console there to change the data in the back end really helped a lot. I've not yet used the geolocation, but that's on the roadmap. Naturally, you come across challenges in all technologies you use, and I did come across a few in Backendless. Pagination in kind of an asynchronous model was a little bit different. I had a few use cases because I'm working in the backcountry, and the device itself needs to have a copy of the data. There were a few scenarios where I needed to get thousands of records onto the device so that the user could go through them later when the connection might not be there. So getting those asynchronously and rendezvousing the data back together was one minor to moderate challenge. I think I only contacted Backendless support on one issue, and that was regarding kind of how dates were formatted and handled. The response was quick and professional and technically accurate, but all in all, I didn't have to reach out to Backendless too much at all. I was able to solve my problems efficiently. I think one interesting lesson learned with Backendless is just the claim is true. You don't have to write your own backend for a lot of applications and for a lot of common needs. And it's exciting where the industry is going to be going in the future with more APIs and kind of a market style direction. I think we'll see it easier and easier to build pretty sophisticated applications and not really write anything on the server side except maybe some mapping or some filtering and just some pretty basic code. The advice I would give to mobile developers who are kind of struggling, what product do I use or not use, is experiment, time box, try a few alternatives. Come up with an easy use case, a hard use case that's core to your application. Code up a POC quickly and evaluate from there. And once you have those proven, then it's just a matter of knocking them out. Knocking out the next screen, knocking out the next screen.